Today, we're going to talk about a volcano that was silent since the Stone Age, but then suddenly roared back to life, sending a warning shot across two entire continents.
So, that brings us to the big question. How does a volcano erupting in Africa end up grounding flights all the way over in India? I know, it sounds like a bit of a riddle, doesn't it? But stick with me, because that's exactly what we're going to break down.
Okay, so let's start at the very beginning of this whole thing. Our story kicks off in the Afar region of northern Ethiopia. This is where a volcano named Haile Gubi suddenly woke up from an unbelievably long nap.
And when I say unbelievably long, I'm not kidding. We're talking 12,000 years. That's how long this volcano had been dormant. I mean, this wasn't just some long nap. This was a deep, deep geological sleep.
Yeah, you heard that right. The last time Haile Gubi blew its top, humans were literally in the Stone Age. It's just wild to think about. So the big question is, how? How does a volcano that's been quiet for that long suddenly and so violently come back to life?
Well, the answer really comes down to location, location, location. You see, Haile Gubi is sitting right in the middle of the East African Rift Zone. Now, this is a place where the Earth's tectonic plates are literally being pulled apart. And all that constant geological tension, it means that even a volcano that's been sleeping for millennia can get a sudden wake-up call.
And believe me, when this thing woke up, it did not hit the snooze button. It erupted with just tremendous force. We're talking a massive plume of ash and sulfur dioxide shooting 15 kilometers straight up into the sky. To give you some perspective, that's higher than most commercial jets fly. So now, you've got all this stuff way up in the upper atmosphere, and it's ready to go on a journey. So this is where a local eruption starts to snowball into a full-blown international event. We're going to follow this incredible, invisible river of ash as it makes its way across the sky.
So first, it kicks off its journey right there over Ethiopia. From there, it gets pushed across the Red Sea, sweeps over Yemen and Oman, then it crosses the huge Arabian Sea before, you guessed it, finally making landfall, so to speak, over parts of India.
And the total distance we're talking about here? Over 4,000 kilometers. I mean, that is just a staggering distance for a cloud of ash to cover in just a couple of days. So, how in the world did it make a trip like that? Well, it basically hitched a ride on the express lane, the superhighways of the sky. These powerful high-altitude winds, and of course the jet stream, they acted like a giant conveyor belt, just whisking these volcanic particles all the way across continents. And as you can imagine, when this invisible river of ash finally arrived over India, it created a very real and very serious problem for anyone trying to fly. So you might be wondering, what's the big deal? It's just ash, right? Wrong. Volcanic ash is not like regular dust. We're talking about tiny, super sharp particles of rock and glass. And when they get sucked into a hot jet engine, they can actually melt and cause it to fail. Not only that, they can clog up the vital instruments that pilots rely on, and of course, make it incredibly difficult to see. It is a massive safety hazard, plain and simple.
So naturally, the response from the airlines was swift, and it had to be cautious. Air India, for instance, canceled at least 11 flights pretty much immediately as a precaution against this threat flying around up there.
And it wasn't just Air India either. We saw major carriers like Akasa Air and Indigo having to do the same thing. They were all forced to take action, canceling flights, rerouting others, all to steer clear of that dangerous airspace. And of course, that meant a lot of disruption for a lot of travelers.
Okay, so with all this top of an ash cloud overhead, a completely new concern started to pop up. This time, it was for the people on the ground. Especially in a place like Delhi, which, as we know, already has its own struggles with air pollution. The question on everyone's mind was pretty simple and pretty urgent. Is this volcanic ash going to fall out of the sky and make our already bad air quality even more dangerous to breathe?
And this is where we need to make a really key distinction. The problem was a sky hazard, not a ground hazard. And the reason is simple. The ash stayed way up high in the atmosphere, where the planes fly. So its actual impact on the air we're breathing down here on the ground turned out to be minimal.
And look, you don't have to take my word for it. This was confirmed by the experts. The India Meteorological Department put out an official statement saying that, yep, because the ash stayed so high up, it didn't really have any significant impact on the ground level air quality index, the AQI. And that was, as you can imagine, a huge relief for millions of people.
So when you take a step back and look at this whole thing, what's the big takeaway?
For me, this entire event is just a massive, powerful reminder of how incredibly interconnected our planet really is.
I mean, just think about how fast this all happened. You have an eruption on a Sunday in Ethiopia. By Monday night, that same ash is over Delhi. And by Tuesday evening, it's already starting to move away. A local event became a continental problem in, what, just over 48 hours? It's mind-boggling.
It really is the perfect reminder that what happens in one corner of the globe, no matter how remote it might seem, can have these very real, cascading effects thousands of kilometers away. We saw it go from an eruption, to grounding flights, to sparking real fears about public health.
And that really leaves us with one final thought to chew on. This was a geological connection that was completely invisible to us, right up until the moment it started causing problems. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other silent connections, these invisible threads, are out there right now, quietly shaping our future?